What up, everybody? It's your girl Adesola, just in case you didn't know. So,
what's good, everybody? It's your boy DJ SJ614, and we are
the New York Dose,
rocking it out with young Atlas.
Ay.
All right, welcome. Thank you for sitting down with me.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Of course. So let's get right into it. Can you just tell me, how you two met? I know it's not just you two that are part of the New York Dose. Like, kind of the backstory. Is that everything?
Oh, this is a great.
Yeah, this is a good one. So Adesola and I actually went to the same high school together.
ATU, Talent Unlimited.
I am class of 09.
I am class of 07.
And I was a drama major, and she was a dance major.
Yes.
So we would always see each other in the hallways and things like that. She was actually one of my favorite dancers before.
Oh, stop it.
Before I really got to know her, it was her and another girl that I just loved watching dance all the time and the shows and things like that. And and then we went to the same college.
Yes, I think, in the same, and we went to Performing Arts High School. I will always see him in the hallways, but it was one of those, just say hi. I was also very shy, never spoke at all. So it was just one of those things. And then come to find out, I in college, Buffalo State, and I see him in the Union, which is a food common area. And I'm like, oh, snap, he goes here too.
There's not a lot of people from.
And throughout those my 4 years, he was younger, but the same type of just hi and bye. We never really hung out.
Yep.
And then my friend,
Yeah. So then I had established this other podcast, the Bodega Podcast, with this friend of mine, and we were kind of deep into our season with that, and we were interviewing different artists and things. And one of the artists that we brought on was this man named James, who is Adelisa's best friend, and she was in his dance company.
Yes. So I was his dancer, and we came out of rehearsal. He was like, oh, actually, I'm going to this interview for the Bodega Podcast, whatever. And I was like, oh, because I didn't have nothing to do. And I was like, oh, can I come with you? I'm not doing anything. And then I went, and there was an extra mic there. And they kept on insisting for me to get on the mic. But I was like, oh, no, I'm just here to support my friend. I'm just in the sidelines, But they kept insisting. And they were like, just get on the mic. And I was like, okay, cool. And then a week later.
So the background story to that is the female co-host that we had at the time, she was about to go back to school. So I was actually in the back of my mind looking for someone to replace her. And Adelise had done such a wonderful job on the mic for her first time. That I
just love when you talk so great about me.
It was just
rare.
a perfect fit, it made sense, So I hit her up that week later, and I was like, yo, we want you to come through to the Bodega, da-da-da.
Yeah. And I was
started doing that.
Sure, yeah. And then from there it was history.
So you were shooting at college first?
No,
this was post-college.
Post-college, yeah. I want to say maybe
This was 2017.
2016, 2016.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then you guys went from Bodega
to
yes. Yeah, because we were dealing with some bad energy over at the Bodega Podcast, so we were had to cut that.
Let's communicate ourselves from Bodega Podcast,
and then totally just rebrand it and started our own thing from scratch.
That energy can be a cancer.
Yes, it can, and it's. It was a little bit because at that time we were there was one person funding it, there was one and it was it was a little scary, I think, for me. D is always ready for change, and he's just great with that. But I could be in a way too, but it's just that abrupt change could be whatever. So I think it was a little bit scary because it's damn, we're gonna have to start from scratch.
No,
I was like, all our segments are dope, all the people we've been meeting, all this stuff, and then it was literally that week was Games of Thrones of trying to rebrand within a week because it had to happen quick because we wanted to keep the momentum going. So it was
a lot. Honestly.
All through a group chat, New York Dose was born.
Yeah.
Because our other co-founder, Bruck, he was in that too. So
Shout out to Bruck.
Shout out to Bruck. Yes, he couldn't make it today, but he's here in spirit.
So the name came about, so like Adelie said, we were in this group chat trying to just rebrand super quickly, keep the momentum going. Right. and we were like really trying to figure out what encompassed everything that we did. So Adelise was like out walking around in the street.
I was like, you ever seen Girl Boss? It was the Nasty Gal creator. I was watching her series at the time, and she was trying to figure out like names for her like new line and all this stuff. And she like was like, oh, I'm gonna walk in the city and like see if I get inspiration. I was like, oh guys, I'm gonna do the same thing. But nothing came to me that day. I was like all over New York trying to just find inspiration of like what can we.
And we're all thrown in these just like trash names into the group, just trying to like make it work. And then I was like, oh well, guys, like what do the listeners say? You know what I mean? Like what do they think of us? So then that basically, long story short, rooted back to a comment that Adelise's friend left on one of our pages one time.
Yeah, she had recently moved to LA, and she was like, you know, here living in New York, and she was like, oh, I love catching up to your podcast. This is when we were bodega. She was like, because I feel like I'm getting a dose of the New York City like life while I'm in the, you know, West Coast.
And then I was like,
and then
that's it. So then it was about figuring out how to rearrange the syntax,
the wording,
of that phrase, and see what looked good on a logo and like things like that. And then that's really where the New York Dose
was born.
Yeah,
that's interesting because that's really what entertainment is. It's you know, giving the people what they want, right?
Right.
So that's cool. So what does the New York Dose like focus on? What's your mission?
Yes.
As a podcast.
So, as Adelise has stated, I love change. So in season one was very guest based, and we invited different artists and entrepreneurs on and figured out like how they got to where they were, because I felt like there was such a secret to everyone's success, and I wanted to like debunk things being like magical, you know, for other people that wanted to do what they were doing in their field. So all of our interviews were based around that. Then we got into our second year, season 2, right now, and it's become more of this like theorem-based topical podcast revolving around like hip hop culture, current events, and millennial speculations. So now what we're doing is we're having conversations about certain issues going on in our world, and how we can, as you know, millennials and as a society, move forward in a positive manner from those situations, you know. But the New York Dose has grown more from just a podcast. You know, we're a multimedia brand, so we have this whole visual section of, you know, like YouTube and other things like that, where we capture content still from artists and entrepreneurs, because we want to keep true to that, the origin of like how we started out. So
and I think also just to touch a little bit on that, like giving you all of that, but I think also like we also like make our listeners and our supporters like know that we are both still artists too. Like we're both like in that same journey. So that's like New York Does, like also giving you all that current events, like topical like conversations, but we're giving you a dose of our New York City lifestyle. Like I'm born and raised in Washington Heights, uptown. You already know.
And I'm a Brooklyn boy.
Okay, so it's like we're native New Yorkers. We're artists. Like I'm a dancer / everything, and then he's actor / everything. So it's like also giving you that dose too, and like that aura, that energy, that vibe of like what New York, the real New York we feel is. So yeah.
Can you? I mean, I know it's a difficult question to answer, but like, what is kind of like the real New York to you? You know, like,
I mean,
if I could ask that, just because it's so interesting since I'm a native New Yorker myself.
Yes, I mean,
there is this.
When you think of New York, you know, like
it's so interesting. So like, I just got off of like a 2.5-month tour where I was everywhere else around the country besides New York, you know, and every place that I went, people were kind of able to pick up on the fact that I was a New Yorker, you know what I mean? And I feel like native New Yorkers have a certain like je ne sais
everywhere
quoi
we go,
about us.
people know we're from New York.
Yeah,
like
it's in the way that we move, it's in our hustle, it's in the way,
the way
that
we walk,
that we
that we
the way
speak,
that we attack things, it's in the way that we deal with problems, the way that we deal with other people. And you know, I love people, but we have a lot of transplants right now in our city, and I feel like every day I meet less native New Yorkers and more transplants, you know, people that have come into our city, which is great. Like I invite everybody, but I feel like the real New York is in our memories. You know, it's in our memories. It's in our hearts. It's in the stories that were passed down from our parents and our grandparents on how the streets used to be,
Right.
how our neighborhoods used to be before everyone else got here. You know, and I think that's like the essence. It's holding on to the root of how this kind of like really started, and I feel like on other podcasts, you know, there's not too much of that, like, oh yeah, I was just, you know, like in Bowling Green, or, you know, I went
Yeah.
here, I went there, like da da da. And we try to hold true to that. And, you know, we talk about like the real different places, like the corners of the city, not the tourist spots. You know.
I think, yeah, for sure. Like, I think it's, of course, the culture, like, but a well-rounded, like, you know, because I feel like, you know, people look at New York and they, you know, they see all the touristy stuff. And I feel like we both had like half of that world. Like, I grew up uptown, but then I also had a half like downtown experience, whereas like, you know, it's more glamorized down there than uptown. So
Right.
I think it's like, of course, like showing both parts, but putting more emphasis on the
nitty-gritty.
yeah, the nitty gritty, because
Yeah.
that is also like that. I feel like that's the core of it, because that's what it was before us too. So
So let's dive a little bit more into that. Like, what is a day in the life of, like, you know, you're in New York, Ryan? Like, let's take Monday for example.
Ooh.
What is, like, you know, I know you guys are
Ever
hustling a lot,
changing,
you know,
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
take us
Yes.
maybe through that a little bit.
All right. So honestly,
your day in the life, and then I'll go.
okay.
That's perfect.
So a day in the life, right? Like just like an average day would be me waking up in Brownsville. I'm from Brownsville, Brooklyn.
A the Ville.
Hello. Never ran, never will.
Okay.
Okay, never ran, never will. So waking up in Brownsville, and I start something called office hours, which is when I attack on my emails and things that I got to get done for the podcast and different things like that. Going to the gym, and then kind of really just like settling into my day until I work at night. So a part of me being, you know, a creative is having a side hustle. So my side hustle, I make sure that all of my jobs are like overnight things so that they don't interfere with the things that I want to do during the day. So going to rehearsals, having shows, having readings, doing things like this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I work all overnight, you know, like 12-hour shifts, come home at like 11 a.m. in the morning.
He's a beast.
Get like 2 hours of sleep, and then start office hours and do it all again.
Wow.
He also doesn't sleep.
Yeah, I
But
don't.
who
I
really
hate
sleeps
sleep.
in the city, right?
Yeah, sleepless.
I think for me, it's practically the same. Like, I mean, you're a driver, you're a New York driver, but I'm a commuter. So I think I'm waking up, you know, the train rides are very essential part of my of my days. I think just a sidebar, like when I'm in the train, not to get like all deep and stuff, but I think that like is a constant reminder of like my hustle and like my why, because it's like, you know, when you're sitting there, you're waiting, like you're thinking constantly about like what you're trying to do, or like that fast movement of like, okay, I have to take this train to get here, and then I have to get back on this train to go there. Like, it just also reminds me like, oh shit, I'm getting shit done, like, you know.
cathartic,
Yeah, it's,
you know?
yeah, but then also like, you know, jumping to that, going to work, then after that I'll have a rehearsal, depending on the project. Then after that, if there's an event, I usually do like all the marketing and stuff for New York Dose. Like, if I can't make it, he makes it, like, to go to events. Like, I'm going to 3 to 4 events a week, you know. So it's just constantly like all day, all night, and then sleepless nights.
For sure.
Yes.
So there's definitely a lot of hustle behind it. And then, like, diving back into the podcast more, like, specifically, what are some things it takes to really run a podcast? Like, that goes into that.
Yeah.
So I think the number one thing is trust.
Yes.
And commitment. So for one, you have to trust the people that are operating around you, because if there's no trust there, then there's just dysfunction and things start
With
to break
any
apart.
relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
With any relationship, right? And then the commitment, you know, making sure that everyone is like in it to win it, and making sure that it's communicated what in it to win it specifically means for everyone.
Yes.
You know, because that's a different definition for everybody on our staff, but making sure that that we have a united goal, and the goal is to propel the brand and to win and to put other people on and to grow and to succeed.
For sure.
So yeah.
Yeah, because I think like for us, like we run really well like in a team base. So you said like what it takes to run a podcast. I think in anything you do is amazing to have a team, and we're so blessed and so grateful to have a team of 9 and that's growing too. So I think that's like with anything like podcast, fashion, like anything, like if you have a team, you're blessed. And if you have a team, of course, has the same mindset or like the same like, intention and goals, then it's just, there's no.
If you have a committed team. If you don't, then it's a team of, you're working, half of your job is to make sure people do the job,
For sure.
You got to make sure people want it like you guys.
Exactly.
That's definitely important. And then speaking a little bit, and I asked that question just to go back a little bit. I asked that because, a lot of people want to start podcasts, so I think it's important that people understand what it takes to really, one, even getting it off the ground can be a lot more difficult than people think.
Yeah.
Right.
And, to sustain it. How many episodes have you done so far?
Ooh, we just finished 69.
Yeah.
Yes, 69. Yes, thank you. Wow, that is a lot of episodes.
Yeah, and then like the hit that we took, that's with the New York Doves. But you have to remember that Addie and I have been podcasting underneath a different name before that,
Right.
So we really have been doing this for like a little bit of a time, and I think that's the other thing that people have to understand that you're going to put into it is time. Like podcasting is honestly is kind of like a 24-hour thing. Like
I did not know it was this much work. Let me tell you, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna come, I'm gonna be cute, I'm gonna just like I'm gonna talk, say like my experiences, talk about my personal life and all that stuff. But then of course, like when it's a brand and your own brand, like that's just like a quarter of like what you're doing.
I feel like actual podcasting, like actually getting on the mic, that's the reward that you get for all
your
the
therapy.
pre-production
That's
work.
your therapy.
Yeah. It's how you get top reward after you've been pre-planning that episode, and then comes post-production, and then comes pre-planning again, and then the show, and then it's this constant rotation, but it takes time, and you have to love it.
Yeah, and I know you guys are working with other podcasters.
Yes.
And you have the Carbon Dioxide Network.
CDN.
Which is great. I think that's an important thing, that you're not just, building your own podcast, which is amazing, but you're also helping other people with the network. So can you tell me a little bit more about what the Carbon Dioxide Network is?
Yes. So the Carbon Dioxide Network is basically a podcast community at the end of the day, right? We are operating with, of course, the New York Doves, Spill Tea, Taste Your Tongue,
Unlikely
Critics right now. And then we just onboarded That's What He Said, which is Jada's podcast.
Right. Congrats to Jada.
Congrats to Jada, absolutely. So excited to have her on. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's a community, we want, it's called Carbon Dioxide Network because, we want everyone to just let it out, just kind of like just get what you have just like out of you and on air and on the waves. But we want to take care of each other. We want to make sure that we're propelling one another. Yeah. And we want to make sure that we're all out here.
It's like our like a
fraternity or
like we say pod and family. Like where it's just like we're all doing the same thing. Like why not? Like if we can help each other out, we can support each other. If why not do it?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. And then in terms of just like maybe some, because you're so into the podcasting, which is amazing because you have to really love it since there's so much work that goes into it. Yeah. In terms of maybe some inspiration, are there any other podcasts that you listen to, or some people that you kind of maybe emulate?
Oprah Super Souls.
Yeah.
You can never go wrong with a little Oprah.
Oprah Super Soul Conversations is definitely a Bible podcast. And so is The Brilliant Idiots, because I feel like that's a combination of what the New York Dose is a little bit. We have these guests that just bring these gems on every episode. And Addie and I are occasionally dropping gems ourselves, and it is a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And so that's where the Oprah part comes in, and then I feel like the Brilliant Idiots part comes in because we just
Our personalities,
and we just chop it up and
funny,
Funny.
informative.
Anything comes out.
exactly.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I think another inspiration would really be like us, you know. I literally, like, every time we have like staff meetings, like I just like look at everyone in the room and I'm just like, because none of us are getting paid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, yo, we are working at this, and like we don't care, you know, like about like
That's
the money.
like the last thing on our
it's
mind.
like I'm inspired by how much everyone loves this and how much everyone is putting in so much work and how much success we're getting out of it also, you know.
Right.
So yeah.
No, that's amazing to hear. And speaking of like the interviews that you've had, since you've had so many, are there any like that really stuck out that you were like that kind of whoa,
so
I had
many.
some aha moments? I know that might be difficult.
I know, 69 episodes,
Yeah.
so many people. And I think for each episode we had like 2 to 3 guests.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
like
It's been a
multiple
lot.
personalities, multiple amazing, inspiring stories. I think for one, you know which episode
The
I love.
millennial marriage.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just
yeah.
I
I
just
think so,
love
too.
that one.
Millennial marriages.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was millennial marriages. We had 2 set of couples
One was
coming.
like an interracial couple, and one
was,
a Caribbean couple.
Yeah.
And
That were just married, and then there was some that was like they were married
For
like
like
6
6
years,
years.
and they were like expecting. So it was just, I think that one was the most, because it was close to like our age, not our age range, but like I think the things that they were saying, talking about like marriage and being young and like at a young age, but also like life lessons and like all of that. Like I think
it really debunked
Yeah,
a lot of things
exactly.
for us. Yeah.
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
What are some things that are relatable to millennials, or maybe some tips when you're like a couple during this new day and age? You know.
I mean,
So from what I can remember,
stay single. No,
Don't do it.
no. I think I saw a meme and it was like, if you want to date what to do if you want to date an entrepreneur, and it was like 2 things, like become their assistant. And what was the other one? It was something else, and I was like, it's true though, because it's like you have no time, right? So it's like, how do you not in
Stay around
an
that person.
assistant, like as in like, yeah, you're my dojo, but like, you know, it's just like
Kinda learn
you
more about
need
the
support,
business.
like
Yeah.
you need, like you really need to know, like especially like if your partner is not in that field, like they really need to understand and know, like, okay, if you want to be around me, like you're just gonna have to be either with me at all these events,
Right.
or like come network with me, or just, you know, be my little sidekick for the day, you know, or
Yeah.
something like that. But
That's a lot. That's interesting.
I think
yeah,
another thing that I remember learning from that millennial marriage episode was the fact that, like, I feel like in days of future past, with like older married couples, I feel like we as millennials saw those relationships get like absolved into one another. It was kind of either the husband either dropped everything else that he was doing to be with the wife, or the wife dropped everything that she was doing to be with her husband. But from that episode, we learned that it was really important for the individuals to keep their individual lifestyle a little bit and know when to come together as a unit. But that didn't mean that they had to like
Give
drop
up,
all their
yeah.
friends or drop their dreams, or, you know, like drop whatever they were doing on their own. And that was really important for, I think, me to hear, because that's
Same
some
here.
of the things. That's one of the things that like kind of like keeps me away from
From
wanting to commit
being
to something
steady.
like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm not about to give up what I'm doing. Like, data comes first. Like,
Yeah.
Kind of respect for their independence.
yes, and like
Exactly.
physical, because it's like, you know, we know that like it's possible, but I think like physically seeing it
work.
like seeing it work, like, and there was like a couple there that they were creative, like one was an actor and she was like in finance, and like the others were like, you know, so it was just like nice to physically see that like in human form in front of you, hear them talk like how they make it work and
Yeah.
all those tips. So it was like, okay, maybe
Speaking of some tips, like you've interviewed a lot of creatives and entrepreneurs. Sticking to entrepreneurship though, like what are some things you've learned that are important, like that you've seen, like maybe a characteristic that these entrepreneurs have? Like,
Someone-
consistency.
Yes, consistency, humanity. because I feel like that's something that sometimes gets lost, you know, and big companies, you know, like Kmart, like whatever, like things like that, like we don't know the person behind that, you know, so there's no connection. But when we sit down with entrepreneurs, we really get to feel who they are as like a person, and that draws us in closer to, you know, want to be a part of their product or their brand or their branch or whatever, and professionalism.
For sure.
That's like my number one thing, like personally. Like we haven't interviewed unprofessional entrepreneurs, but like we've been in spaces where it's kind of just like that's like just a little bit crazy, or like why would you operate like that, or why would you not like communicate and things like that. But like the people that we've sat down with, they've had excellent communication skills, excellent professionalism, and just like an excellent
Just good people.
morale.
Like I think
the spirit
we've been
is
so
pure.
like
We've been blessed.
we've been so blessed to have like we never had a bad like experience
interviewing someone.
with guests, you know, like
Yeah.
I feel like we always had like very like it's like we might be a spiritual podcast. Like
yeah.
it's like very spiritual and conscious, and it's like everyone has good spirits, and it's so crazy. But I think not to
everyone
not to
always wants
toot
to come back.
not to toot our own horn, but I think since we like portray that, like that's what we attract, you know, too.
exactly.
So I think for sure key is, of course, consistency, but humanity is like the most for me, because it's like he said, like if you are showing that you're a good person and whatever you're selling to me or whatever you're putting out into the universe, I am gonna support it no matter what,
That
you
makes
know.
sense. Yeah, I mean, I was asking that because nowadays people think like entrepreneurship is like this cool thing now, and if you
yeah.
think about the day-to-days of what it takes to be an entrepreneur, like getting up, kind of not having a life outside of what your craft is.
Yep.
You know, it's not. That's not that cool to me. You know?
It's a roller coaster.
It's hard
I mean,
work.
yeah, it
It's
is.
cool to do what you want to do. I'm
Right.
saying like it's just getting.
It's not glamour,
making
like
it
yeah.
seem a lot easier.
So
than it really
glamorized.
is.
It's very glamorized, and I think
Yeah.
even for me, like jumping into it, like I think I always wanted something that was quote unquote mine, like even though it's ours, but you know, like that's something that I created, or like
Right.
you know,
Had a hand
and
in.
I think like in the beginning, like of course it felt quote unquote cool, or it felt like wow, like I'm really like doing this, but like when it comes to the actual work, you know, like it's, and I think it's okay to feel like you said like not cool, or like feel like it could be like too much, because of course you're a human being, like whatever, but of course keeping that track, that tunnel vision, it's what's gonna get you to really embody all of that.
Yeah. And I think sitting down with other entrepreneurs, I learned from them, because I think the big elephant in the room is like finances, right? And I think it's important to put out there the fact that like some months are going to be good and some months are going to be bad, you know what I mean? Because you're not working for someone else, you might not know where that next check is coming from until you have that next client, you know?
Right.
And I think that, like that's okay. You got to have a plan worked out. But that's something else that I really learned from them, that it is going to be that roller coaster of finances along the way.
Yeah.
So
All great entrepreneurs are resilient. You have to
Yes.
to just
Yes.
survive. But switching topics a little bit in terms of like, interviews, because we at Young Atlas focus on the hip hop culture, and you guys do as well. So if you could maybe sit down with a hip hop artist, out now and interview them, in a best case like world, like who would that be?
my
There's so many.
person that I would
So many.
love to sit down with is Azealia Banks.
Okay.
Oh, he is a stand for her.
Why would that be?
One, she's my Gemini sister. Two, her music is so honestly like revolutionary. You know what I mean? Like if for the people that have actually sat down and listened to her music, with hip hop at the forefront, she is crossing so many different genres and doing so much intelligent maneuvering with her music. It's like mind blowing. But then there's this dichotomy of her, quote unquote, like angry black woman personality, right? So I like to always understand like the why of things, and I would just love to like sit down and talk with her and like really get behind what brought her about to like operate in the format that she does, because she has the talent, absolutely. But there's just something missing in the attitude, and I want to know what that is, and just like sit down and have just like a real conversation, because I don't think anyone ever sat down and had a legit conversation, like peer to peer, and have just been like, yo, like what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
And I would just love to have the opportunity to do that. So
keep staying consistent like you are.
Yes.
That's definitely happening soon.
thank you. I think so too.
Sure. We'll at Azealia.
Yes.
We got close
Bring
to one of her
Azealia to the dose.
dancers.
Yes.
They came to the dose. One of her dancers came.
Yeah,
So we're
Annalise interviewed
maybe
her, like, 2 weeks ago.
yeah, maybe we could slide something
I mean,
in
I
there,
already
put it out.
know that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yes.
And I'm a patient man, so
69 episodes. You have to.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the obvious, I'm sure everyone is like, fabulous, because my name was definitely inspired by the great Fab. But I think it switched, like, my love for him. I was like, real, like, in college, I was like obsessed. I mean, even when I was younger, I mean, he's been around since forever. But I think, since the media stuff, like you saw, like all that controversy of his relationship, it definitely changed my view.
she went through a hard period.
I did went to a hard period, and I was just like, but I think I would love to sit down with him to just talk about like that incident, and it's also for like fans. Like, I mean,
it did kind of get brushed over a little bit.
It did get kind of brushed over, but also like something with the course they got settled. But
I mean,
I think like as
so before you go in, I'm a huge Fab fan too.
Yes.
So I was a little like, cause that was
Had
a little
to-
out of character to me. So
yeah,
I was
like
confused
and
what was going on.
exactly, especially like being a deep like fan. I think with any artist, like it does change you in a little bit. I mean, for me, I don't separate the art from the people. I think that's your art is you. Yeah. So so I would love to have a sit down with him, of course, to tell him about all of my inspirations from him, but also like to just talk about that. And I feel like as fans, like we do deserve an explanation, or like something, because it's just like, man, like you don't want to believe that from one of your favorite like artists. So it's like,
some insight on this situation.
even though he probably like it's none of your business, but but like I would love to sit down with him. But I have to say one more besides that, J. Cole, of course. J. Cole, he's just like,
I know you love him.
he's like a freaking angel on earth, like, and I think I would love to just have it because he's so like human, like he's like, yes, he's an artist, but you don't feel
He's
like
down.
he's so down to earth.
Very relatable.
Exactly. So I would love to just like sit down with him, chill with him, and just talk about like his journey and like what he has coming up and how he keeps it so low key, like, and out the
people like J. Cole are trendsetters for this new rap that's coming out. Like I feel it's always going to be there, the flashiness, like the rapping about the cars, and all this stuff. But I feel like more rappers are trying to be relatable, specifically because if someone like Offset, who's like the premier rapping about the flashiness, is talking about some real stuff in his life now,
Yes.
I think that trend is
It's a
gonna.
wave
People
coming.
want to hear about more relatable stuff. You know?
Yeah, because I think everybody's got tired. Like, I'm tired of all this mumble map. I can't even say I'm mumbling myself. Mumble rap, and I think there was a lot of like noise on that. And I think, like you said, like Offset, like I think in his latest album he was talking more about his personal
really
life.
real album.
So I mean Meek Mill does it too. So
I feel like that also has a large
I think it's great
thing
that
to
that's-
do with the fact that media in general has just like changed, like we're used to seeing people put like personal videos on like Instagram and things like Cardi B, she talks about her relationships, and we see the things that Offset is going through and like blah blah blah. So I think it makes the most sense to incorporate that within the music now as well, and I think that we want more of that coming from the music.
To keep it how it used to be before, where it was just like you're putting out art, you're putting out stuff that you actually went through. You're like, Tupac did it, Biggie did it, like things that actually happened in your life, things hurt, pain, like happiness, like putting all of that where it's like real, because that's how you're gonna connect to your real, like
That's how you get that.
I mean, I love my little trap and twerk here and there, but
of course.
there's nothing like that good old soulful, like just straight lyricist, type of MC vibe where.
Yeah, starts telling a real story. And in terms of telling a story, like you've done so many interviews. So like, what are some tips you would give someone if they're going into an interview? Let's say they're getting interviewed by you guys. What are some things you maybe like tell them to do beforehand? Just some tips, for people watching.
So this is actually one of my favorite things about the Devs. we don't tell anyone anything. Period. I love collecting organic raw reactions and things like that from people. So like we never prepare people to come in. Just because we don't want you to have to do any work as
or
the
thinking
guest.
too much, or like we want you to
Like,
feel
thinking is
comfortable.
work,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
We just want you to come in and know that you're gonna have a good time with the ghost.
Right.
We're gonna take care of you. We got you.
Right.
All you have to do is just be your authentic
And
self.
be looking pretty on camera
Yeah.
Gotcha.
or on the mic.
Oh, that's interesting. And then like, so you have 2019. You've done 69 episodes so far.
Yes.
What are some goals you have, for this year?
Give us money. No.
I mean,
No. I think that's one of the goals, like trying to see, like we're definitely looking into like funding and trying to find like some financial opportunities, of course.
Absolutely.
Sponsors.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
Which is funny
Yes,
because
we had one.
we've set these goals at like the start of 2019, and some of them have been happening already in very small ways.
Shout out to Studio.
Shout out to Studio.
They are headphones
Headphone
brand in Sweden, and they sent us like some headphones, some really dope headphones, and we did like some promotion for them for a couple months.
More things coming.
Yeah, more things.
Personally, because we are tied in like the art field as well, we wanted to do more like hosting because we feel like we are also a
more
presence.
on-site.
Yeah, like on site in front of the camera as well as behind the mic. So like that's where you came about. you
Yes.
know, which we're
Shout
very
out to Young
excited for.
Atlas. Yes.
Yeah, we'll definitely have you guys hosting some Young Atlas events.
Ooh.
Super excited.
Yeah.
So those were two big goals, you know what I mean? Like sponsorships, funding, and just like us being like even more of a presence.
Yeah.
But we are really driving toward, it seems a little bit like corny, but we're really driving towards becoming kind of like our generation's like version of like the Breakfast Club, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
Not with their same like dynamic or like blueprint in mind like at all, but
Kinda
just
like the same
connection,
essence,
right?
yeah,
the
of
essence
it.
and the same connection that they have with the city is what we want to have with our city as well.
Yes.
No, that's amazing. And if there was maybe like an ideal sponsor or someone you could collab with, like, do you have any?
Tito's
Vodka.
You see it? You see it?
Yo,
Tito's.
listen to Tito's. If you, I look at the camera. Yeah.
You want me here?
No, Tito's.
Let Tito's
Listen
know.
to our R&B episode. We shouted you out many times, and I mean, we just love Tito's. I mean, I love that vodka. And
Adeloso loves Tito's.
but what else?
Probably the coconut Ciroc with,
Yeah.
isn't that fabulous like drink?
Yes, Coco Loso.
Yeah,
Coca-Cola.
But I
but
think
also,
I look,
like-
I think we're open to anything. Of course, any New York-based brands,
Exactly, right,
for
yeah,
sure. Those are
definitely.
really like.
I want to get into like the local hot spots that we have around here and like see what we can work out with that because I think it just makes sense,
Right. And
so-
there's so many.
And I think as
Around
what you guys have proved, once you stay consistent, opportunities will present themselves
Yes.
down the line. So, in due time for sure.
far into the future, I'm not gonna be fake about it, but like that show Empire, I envision a building that Carbon Dioxide Network has, and on every floor there's just like a different podcast kind of just like operating and like working it out, and like we're bumping into each other and we're like collaborating and we're just like networking like around the world and doing like amazing things.
I love that.
Like a big empire,
Like
yeah.
a
Like a
exit-
BuzzFeed for
podcast.
podcasts,
Yeah,
like that.
So that's what that
How many
is driving
podcasts do you
toward.
have so far on the network?
Is it
What,
four?
four?
Unlikely, Spill Tea.
Unlikely Spill Tea,
Tea,
Taste Your Tongue. That's what he said. And then us, the New York Ghosts.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
5.
Yeah, we're under it too.
I put you in touch with Joy.
With the 6 coming.
So
Yes.
she's great. So that'll
Yes.
be. And I have, I'm gonna start letting people know through the Young Atlas Network about that opportunity.
Yes.
Much appreciated.
Yeah,
Thank
we're
you so
definitely
much.
Looking to help you guys grow.
Yes.
So, in terms of just like some like different opportunities that are coming up, in terms of like events, right? So, what are some I know there's a lot of different concerts and things going on. Are there any like people like that are putting on festivals that you would maybe want to be interested in hosting? That
Of course. I mean, I just keep thinking of Art Basel in Miami. I'm like thinking because I would love to like I just see us in that environment and all that putting that out into the universe.
Absolutely.
But of course, Coachella, like there's like Governor's Ball, like all those music festivals. I see us there, like either on the stage or like having like a little booth set up station where like we're just interacting with the people coming in, like.
And then you have, and then like the mediums,
Afropunk,
absolutely,
like
and
all
then,
of those.
The different mediums, Revolt Complex. What's this other one that I always think of that I can't remember right now? But yes, just like all the things. I don't think that we are opposed to anything that can potentially help propel us.
Yes.
Right now, as long as it makes sense.
We're open, pretty open and adaptable. So.
For sure, and then. Just so the viewers understand a little bit more about, you guys personally, what are some other interests you have outside of just the podcast?
So, I'll start?
Yes.
So, like I said, I just got back from a 2.5-month tour. My first track is acting. Okay. Started off with stage, slowly transitioning to television and film. But I just got off of like a Black History national tour, which was like really dope. While I was on that tour, I also wrote a play. Thank you very much.
This man
does
it all.
What are there 28 hours in your day?
I mean, and that's something that's very important to because like I feel like oftentimes you have these people that are like, oh, there's just not enough time in the day, like blah blah blah. But we all have the same 24, We have the same 24 as Beyonce, as Jay-Z, as Lin-Manuel Miranda. You know what I mean? It's just how are you utilizing those 24 hours? Now, I feel like my technique is I hate sleep, so I don't really sleep. So it does feel like I have more hours, but I'm gonna pay for that later, I know. But yeah, so like acting, playwriting, I'm getting into the groove of like workshopping that show now. Had my first reading, went over very well, so I'm so excited. I'm gonna direct it as well. So like directing, thank you very much. So those are my things.
You know that saying, live each day like it's your last? That's about him.
YOLO.
YOLO.
No, yeah. For me, my first love and always love is dance. I'm a dancer. I've been studying dance since 4 years old. I haven't stopped. I just finished a project with this company called Teak Vision in January, where we did a Soldier Series Part 2. So right now I'm just, auditioning, gigging it out, and just creating too. I want to get back into the creating field because I've been like dancing with artists and like being in other people's projects, and I think I want to get more into creating my own stuff and just putting out stuff there.
You should do a dance for a J. Cole song,
Oh yeah, I mean I need to start putting out more dance videos now because I'm so critical, of that. But that's always gonna be my love and always that keeps me sane and grounded. So that's definitely one of my
But
my
it's all
passions.
still connected, so like these passions
Yes.
do intersect with.
Because discipline, at the end of the day, like is the common goal. I feel like it's something that you stick to, that you have a love for. So.
For sure. And then we talked about hip hop artists because Young Atlas works primarily in the hip hop culture. But speaking of maybe just like an entrepreneur that is involved in hip hop, like who is someone you maybe be interested in talking with?
An entrepreneur that isn't involved in.
That is involved in hip hop.
That is?
Yeah. Or someone in general. It doesn't have to be necessarily, but just to give a little context.
Ooh.
I would honestly say.
There's just so. I mean.
Charlemagne the God.
Okay. You read his last book?
I did not.
But is
read
he an
his
entrepreneur? Or is he like?
Absolutely.
He's
doing so.
Someone that's an entrepreneur now, because he wasn't an entrepreneur before. Like someone that I'm like diving that deep into the question.
He has done a lot. Of
I know.
a long time. Like absolutely, but he. I feel like all my faves are like controversial, you know what I mean? But he has just done so much, not only for hip hop, but for Black culture as well. As well as he is someone who keeps in mind that mentality of like bringing up the people around him as well, you know what I mean? Which are values that I hold dear to myself as well. So I would love to sit down, and then he's executive producer on so many like television things as well. So he's really out there. And I can easily see myself sliding into those multiple lanes as well. He's writing books. I'm coming out with poetry books. So it's like, I would just love to sit down and like kind of like have that conversation with him about how to like really like focus it all and like really make it happen.
Yeah, he does do so much.
There's so much that he's doing that people don't know about. That which is unfortunate because they don't get past some of the hot takes that are taken out of the things that he says, But I'm not one for hot takes, so.
For sure. Yeah, you should definitely read his. I'm halfway through his book that just came out. Anxiety's Playing
Tricks on Me. Yeah, my mom bought it for me for Christmas. I just gotta.
That's funny. My mom did the same.
Did you really? I love it.
I think for me, I don't have one specific person, but any woman that's out here like just making a name for themselves, and because I feel like we're seeing that way more women's like girls of all ages like starting their own stuff. Yeah, like their own
the shade rooms, they're in media.
Yeah, for sure. Just all my women out there just going for it. Like I would want to have a conversation with each and every one of you.
Each and every one.
Yeah, each and every one. Yes.
Speaking of, just to wrap things up, if someone watching this is interested in, joining the Carbon Dioxide Network, what is the process of how they could potentially reach out to you guys?
Yes.
So you
email us.
Yes, email us
at info@thenewyorkdose.
Or Carbon Dioxide Network at gmail.com. Any one of those, you're going to reach us, and we will take it from there. We got you.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think that's important for people to know.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And lastly, like, what are some things that you kind of provide and help people with the service of the podcast?
Yes, we share our equipment. Like if needed, we have all the equipment that we use are granted to you. Our space and we cross promote.
Yeah. So basically, I like to think about it. So like, podcast starter pack, providing space, providing community. Top 3 things, and making podcasts and knowledge, intellect, all the things that comes with it, and just making podcasts like affordable for you. And helping you figure out that you can do it on your own and not have to go to these expensive studios.
Right.
So
yeah, it's an interesting time now because to produce content doesn't have to have an expensive overhead.
Yes.
And that's important for people to understand. Because people have incredible followings out there and are talking about amazing things, and they're not putting them out there. So it's important for people to know they have that opportunity.
Yes.
Exactly.
With the Carbon Dioxide.
Let your voice be heard. Let it out.
Let it out.
And before we wrap things up, is there anything, you'd like to promote? Any plugs that you want to put in?
Well, make sure you follow us.
Follow the New York Dose.
Yes,
at the New York Dose.
At the New York Dose.
And that's
DOSE. Not dose as a numero in Spanish.
Yeah,
DOSE on everywhere. We're on all. Subscribe
Spotify,
to us,
iTunes,
please. Subscribe to our YouTube, which is the New York Dose as well. We put all of our on-camera experiences on there and cover artists as well.
There's just a lot of content coming out from us. 2 episodes a week. You know what I mean? On top of visual things as well.
Right.
So
You're gonna be on the lookout. You're gonna get all of that if you just follow. If you just follow us in our journey, and
And we wish you much success.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming in.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Anytime. And we look forward to, working together more in the future.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a wrap, Steve.
Yes.